profession in the end. Now, it's not the typical abusive thing that you would think of. You know, it's like they want something good for their kids. They are not trying to hurt them, but it's not the healthiest thing mentally if you think about it. I mean, you don't have to think too hard, you can imagine, I am sure. So, in Jennifer's case, when she was 4, they started her in piano lessons, which would become a very important thing for her to continue to pursue and succeed in. She also played the flute in the band. She began taking figure skating lessons, which is a lot of work and commitment, because they wanted her to try to get into the Olympics. But at some point she hurt her leg and she had to quit that. She had good grades through elementary school and middle school, which was what they wanted, of course. But when she got into high school, she just couldn't do it anymore. I guess she didn't want to, or she wasn't able to, or whatever it was. I'm not quite sure, but in high school, they limited her social life. She was not allowed to date boys or go to school dances. She couldn't go to parties. If she had something to do with a girlfriend, you know, they would bring her back and forth. They insisted on driving her everywhere she went and picking her up. And it wasn't exactly the ideal teen dream, you know. It wasn't what she saw teenagers doing on TV or even the other kids at school. So she started lying to them about everything and anything. She faked her report cards. You know, she would forge them, change the grades on them. She was really getting grades in the 70s, but she changed them to all A's. And in 11th grade, she went on a field trip with the school band. And there was a boy named Daniel who was in 12th grade, and he played the trumpet. And when she went on this band field trip, she and he got to know each other and really hit it off. From that point on, they started dating. Of course, she did not let her parents know. Now, in 12th grade, she was still dating him. And she applied to college, Ryerson University, which was not far from where she lived. And she got early acceptance. And her parents were pleased with that. It was legitimate, okay? But she was taking calculus. And you know as well as I do, calculus is a hard class, okay? Well, she wound up failing calculus. she told her parents that she got a full scholarship, so they would not be getting any bills or letters from the university. Her father suggested that she study pharmacology in college, so she told him that's what she would be doing. Now, she went out and she purchased textbooks and notebooks, and she even put notes into the notebooks so it would look like she was actually going to classes. During the day, she would leave home. She was living at home for college, okay. During the day, she would go out. She had a job giving piano lessons and working in a restaurant. And she would also go to the library to write more notes in her notebooks. And at the end of 2 years of this facade, she said she was going to now transfer to the University of Toronto to finish the 4-year degree, and that it would be a good idea if she would move closer to the school so she wouldn't have to commute. So she would be living with her girlfriend, a female friend, she said. But in truth, she moved in with Daniel, who she was still dating, and his parents. And she continued the same thing. At the end of those 2 years, so a full 4 years of fake college, her parents were excited to go to her graduation, and she told them that they were only giving one ticket to graduation because there were so many students. So she wasn't going to give it to either of them because it wouldn't be fair. After that, she told them she got a job in a lab in a hospital while she continued to just go out and do her piano lessons and, working in a restaurant. But her parents started to get a little suspicious at this point. She had no uniform and no ID card. So, one day they drove her to work. And then when she got there, she went into the hospital, even though she doesn't even work there. And they, snuck in behind her to watch. But I guess she was aware what was happening, so she hid out somewhere in there until they left. But they were still suspicious. So they called her female friend that she was supposedly living with, and asked if they could speak to Jennifer, and the girl said that Jennifer wasn't there. So now they asked Jennifer, "What's the deal? We know something is up. What is actually going on with you?" She told them that Toronto University never happened, and she didn't actually have this job, and that she lived with Daniel. So that much of it she told them. She didn't tell them about not graduating high school or not going to Ryerson University. So obviously they were furious, to say the least. They insisted that she move back in at home. They took away her cell phone, which they probably paid for, so, I would assume that they could do that. They took away her computer. They made her quit the job at the restaurant. It was okay for her to still do the piano lessons, though. And they encouraged her to go back and finish her degree. So,